Hi, I'm Alyssa. Come and draw and chat with me. Today I'm working on this comic page. I'm doing a mini comic right now that's like an AU that's based on me and my friends' Vampire the Masquerade characters, but it's like an AU of like, what if they are Frankenstein-esque monsters? And if you know anything about Vampire the Masquerade, there's this one like vampire clan that kind of has like flesh manipulation powers. So one of my friend's characters has those powers. So he is the doctor, like Dr. Frankenstein, and then the rest of the vampires in this are the monsters. So if you want to follow along with this comic, I'm posting it weekly on Patreon, and then I'm going to have a Rezo printed version in person and in my shops soon. I'm planning on having it finished up before San Francisco Zine Fest. So that's what I'm working on in this video. So feel free to grab your own stuff and draw along, or just, I don't know, just watch. But yeah, I've got a few questions from people on Instagram, and I'm gonna answer them just during this video while I'm chatting and stuff. And hopefully this is just chill and relaxing, and yeah. Here I'm drawing just like the top panel. It's like the hospital, and it's night and raining because Vinny, the main character, is escaping the hospital where Dr. Han is keeping them. So hospital establishing shot. This is page like 9 or something, so we're kind of like halfway through the story. I'm not like the biggest fan of drawing environments, but I'm learning. It's important. So yeah, it's not like the bestest, but it does what it needs to do. So yeah, I guess we'll get into some of the questions. The first one is, which is harder at Pixar, fix animation or crowds animation? So for those of you who don't know me, I was an animator at Pixar for like 4 years, and I had gone to school for animation, and I got the internship, and then I started working as a fix animator, and then crowds animator, then normal animator. And that's typically the process for Pixar. So fix and crowds are kind of like the entry animator positions. So if you're wanting to get into a big animation studio, you'll probably come in as a fixer or a crowds animator first. At Pixar, they're kind of like the same position. They're in the same kind of, they're viewed in the same way, but crowds is definitely treated as a step up from fix, even though that's not like super clear. And also, like, as a student, I really never heard anything about these positions. It kind of sounded like, oh, you just would be an animator right away outside of school, and that's not the case, especially, well, at least not for Pixar. And yeah, so which one is harder? I'd say that crowds is harder, but not for the reasons that you think. So if you don't know what these positions are, fix is kind of like, you kind of do a lot of different things, and also like both these things are part of the animation department. So you are technically still an animator and you are in the animation department, but you're also just kind of like side area. But yeah, so fix, you kind of, okay. When the shot goes through production, often after the shot is finished, or the animator, something happens and the animator can't finish it themselves, like they go on a leave or vacation or something and the shot needs to get done, or they've already wrapped off the show, or they have something else on their plate and they can't work on the shot anymore. If there's like a fix called on the shot, like the director or the anim leads or anim soups like spot something in the shot that needs tweaking and changing after the animator is not working on the shot anymore, it gets sent to the fix team, and the fix lead kind of hands out the work to the fix animators to do these fixes. And they can be anything as small as like, oh, move this mouth corner just a little bit to match the draw over artist's drawing and make the face more appealing, to this animator left on vacation and they're not going to be back, so we need you to completely like animate their shot. So it really has this wide range of what you can do. Some of it is like the simulation team says that the character's arm is getting caught on their pants when they're moving. Can you just move the arm out a little bit so the simulation can simulate the cloth? So a lot of it is mostly like little things. And then you really just hope and pray the whole time that you get something called like stretch casting or a shot from the fridge, which is basically a shot that wasn't given to an animator. So it's kind of like existing out in the void here. And it's like this extra shot that's really little usually. And they'll give it to you to be like your chance to prove yourself. So the whole time you're really hoping that you can get one of those. And they're not very common. But I'll get back to that in a little bit. So then for crowds, whenever there's a shot with like a lot of characters in it, that's crowds. And it feels like a little more separate from anim because you're working with like the crowds team as well. And crowds anim is different from like normal crowds, because normal crowds, they're like crowds tech, and they do like the technical side of it where they like populate the scene with all of the characters, which are basically these like digital puppets almost that you then like animate. This is kind of hard to explain if you don't know what CG animation is, but if you do know, then you can picture this. But they populate the scene, and crowds anim, usually towards the beginning of the movie, of the production, they make a whole lot of like short looping animation that then crowds tech can put those onto the characters. So when they populate the scene, everybody is moving and walking around or sitting or doing whatever they need them to do. And we had this big library of animation that we all made. And then crowds anim goes in and adds more specificity and cleans it up, because often like if there's a lot of people walking, their feet are like sliding on the ground and it doesn't match up, and it's like just super tedious work, and the file gets like really, really heavy and it's really hard to manage. So yeah, it's a bit of a struggle. I guess you kind of can see where this is so far. It's that, yeah, crowds is a little more difficult, I would say, just because there's more that you have to deal with. And often in crowds, you are getting to show your work to the director, which is really cool. Whereas in fix, you don't really get to interact with the director at all unless you really have one of those stretch casting fridge shots. You often are working so hard in crowds because there's just so much work to be done that sometimes you might get less fridge and stretch casting in crowds than you did in fix, which is really frustrating. But when you do get that casting, it's often better. Like it's called like a, what's it called? It's like a star crowds, or like it's like an important crowd shot. So no, you're not animating the main character, but you're animating the main character of the shot, which might be a crowd's character having like a big reaction, or the focus of this one shot is the crowd's character, and you get to do that. So it's like animating a real shot. You might not have the main character like you might have in fix, but it is a shot that you get to animate, that's really fun. But it's more rare because you've got to do your job as a crowds animator, and that just takes so long. So I hope that answered the question. They're both difficult. Crowds is technically more difficult. but the actual act of animating is not the hard part. It's everything surrounding it. My time at Pixar was really wonderful, and I wouldn't change it for the world. But I am really happy with what I'm doing now, because being in fixed crowds, you're not really being as much of a storyteller as you might have hoped to be. And leaving a big studio is hard, but it's also like now I have more control over the stories that I'm telling and how I want to tell them, and I am actually telling them. So that sort of leads into the next question, which is, what was it like working on your first comic? Pookie and Worm, Hexter Landlord is kind of like my first full book that I made on my own. And it was a really fun experience, and I loved it. And it was like a little tricky at first because I was still kind of learning the comic medium. Like I had made my Rewire pitch and I was sending it out to agents at the time, and I really wanted to, work on something to improve my comic work and start building my comic portfolio and have like a short comic that was 100% mine. So doing that wasn't easy, like emotionally. Like I was really afraid of failing during this time, and like I even took like a month off from working on it. Like after I had like penciled all of my pages and I was gonna start inking it, I was just like really scared. Like I had trouble like being confident in the inking style of the book because like it wasn't exactly my normal style. Like I was doing a more cartoony, simplified style, which I ended up being really happy with. But just like getting started on it, I was so scared that like, oh, I'm gonna spend so much time on this, and what if it's not good, or what if nobody reads it? And I had to keep reminding myself that it wasn't about what other people thought about it. It was mostly about just like having fun and learning and proving to myself that I could make something. Yeah, it took like a few pages once I started inking to like gain that confidence back. And then I was having fun again, because like my favorite part of the process is definitely the like, coming up with the story part and like coming up with the characters, and writing a story is kind of like doing a little puzzle, and you're finding the best way to like represent your story on the page. The thumbnailing part is just so fun to me. So going from thumbnails and then like penciling it like roughly to inks, that was like my speed bump for sure on this one. And then I feel like I got a little nervous again too when I was going between inks and like coloring it, because that's just like you have to shift your brain to like a different mode to go from like line work brain to coloring brain. And also I was going to be like Rezo printing it, so I needed to think about it in like Rezo format, which is very like 2-color, and you have to format it a certain way. It's a little hard to tell digitally when you're working. Like I work on my iPad, so it's hard to tell from what it's going to look like on the iPad versus what it's going to look like when it's printed, because the colors are really different, because the actual like Rezo pink is like neon. So it's definitely not as bright on the iPad. So I had to like trust in that and do some tests and stuff. But it was a super fun project, and I'm really proud of it. And if you haven't read it yet, you should read it. It's for sale on my website and digitally on Patreon. Okay, anyway, the other question I got was best fish. Wait. Best bug or fish? So I will say both, because I don't think I could pick from both animal kingdoms here and pick one winner, because I can't even narrow down my fish answer to one fish. So I'll start with bug, and I'll say best bug for me personally, okay, is a butterfly. I love butterflies. I had a butterfly phone case for many years. Okay, that was like the worst example to like prove that I like butterflies, but I do. Okay, they're my favorite, and they're really pretty, and they're super cool. I don't know what to say, but I like them. They rock. I like seeing them in like comics and stuff, like drawn, and like my grandpa always had a lot of like butterfly stuff in his house growing up, so I feel I have this like special little connection with butterflies. I also really like, I do like spiders. I try to save them. My last name is kind of like almost spider in Italian. I'm Italian, by the way. So, well, like, my family is Italian. I'm American. But my last name, Ragni, like, is supposed to translate or mean spider or something. So I've always been told that. So I feel like I have this superstition of like, if I kill a spider, that's like not good because they're family. So I try to save them and take them out of our house. But my partner likes leaving our windows open now, not in a you should break into my house way, but in a we don't have air conditioner way. So yeah, a lot of spiders get in, so I'm often saving their lives. And also, I don't want them to bite my cats. I get kind of like nervous because my boys like to play with the bugs when they get in, and I don't want a spider to bite them. So I have to make sure the spider gets out. And then ladybugs are cool. I don't know if you know this or if this is like international or not, but like my partner says that in Iceland, where they're from, like ladybugs are called Marias and their birth name is Maria. So it's like, oh, ladybugs, my fiance, I love them, you know. And I've always heard that they're good luck. And I remember when I was a kid, I had a dress with ladybugs on them, and it was cute. I had ladybug earrings, and I lost one. Anyway, so yeah, that's my bug answer. Butterfly, spiders, ladybugs. Bottom tier aphids. F aphids. I hate them. They killed my lemon tree. If you're an aphid, don't cross my path. I will crush you. Okay. Now fish. This is really hard. I really love fish and aquariums. Favorite aquarium is Georgia Aquarium. Shout out to Georgia Aquarium for being fabulous and having whale sharks and giant manta rays that are super cool. But yeah, I love manta rays and stingrays. Don't like those parts of the aquarium where you can pet them. They are slimy as hell, and I don't want to touch them. I just want to admire them from a distance. But they are very majestic, and I like that they're unique looking compared to the shapes of some of the other fish. And I like whale sharks. They're really cool. They really shouldn't be in aquariums because they don't survive really well in aquariums, but Georgia Aquarium takes really good care of theirs, which is why they can have them. And I think there's a couple other aquariums, and they're in Japan or something, and those are the only aquariums that have the facilities to properly take care of whale sharks. And they're really cute. And I have one in my Animal Crossing aquarium as well. That's my favorite part of my aquarium. Well, my favorite part of Animal Crossing is building my aquarium. And it's pretty fabulous. But it's not done. But it's fabulous. Anyway, where was I? Okay, other fish that rock. Leafy sea dragons are great. I feel like everybody knows about them, but if you don't, look them up. They're like seahorses, which are also great, but they're dragons, which I don't know what that means. They're just like bigger, and they look like they have leaves. They look like seaweed. They kind of like blend in. They're super cool. I love them. Kind of hard to draw, but very great. I don't know. I mean, I really love seals, but they're not a fish. They're a mammal. I went to a zoo in Iceland with my partner, and our niece. And yeah, it's like, what kind of animals would be in a zoo in Iceland? Seals, for one. And then they had like reindeer. But anyway, the seals are the star here. They are adorable. They're so cute and fat and round. I love seals. But they're not a fish, so they don't count in this question. Ask me what my favorite mammal is next time. It's not a seal, but they're up there as well. Okay. Favorite fish. I mean, I think I'm going to go with the rays. We're going to lock in manta rays for best fish. But there's just so many. There's so many good ones. We're not even talking about like normal fish, like that look like fish. Like angelfish are cool. I don't know. I don't know anything about the names of the normal looking fish. I like drawing them when I go to the aquarium. Any tropical fish, cute as hell. Don't like the blob fishes. They're sad because they're like the pictures of them, they're kind of like funny online that people are like, haha, it's a blobfish. They're like hurt because they're taken out of the water, and they look weird because they're like up. Sorry, I shouldn't say the F word. They're they're messed up. Okay, it's almost the end of the video. So that was fun. Ask me more questions about animals, and then you can have Alyssa talks about animals for 20 minutes ASMR. Thanks for watching. Here's my comic book page. Please support my comic and follow me on Patreon and all that jazz. Bye.